Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today's July 13th, 2022. This is episode 523. Today we're looking at Draculina. This is the fourth issue in this run, coming out from Dynamite Comics. But before we get too far into this, loving this cover, by the way, very sexy. I'm going to show you previews of what we're going to do coming up in the next couple days. I got Starhenge, Book 1, The Dragon and the Boar. Okay, that's an Image comic. We'll be looking at that one. From Aftershock, There's Something Wrong with Patrick Todd. I forget what's going on with that. That's also number 1. Prodigy, number 1, The Icarus Society, also by Image. And finally, Promethe, Christopher Beck. This is from Ablaze. It's a number 1 as well. Now, I've already started reading this one. I'm not loving it. Hopefully, the ending will bring me back into it. But right now, I'm not really getting into it. But we'll see what happens. I'm not done with it yet. So maybe it'll have a strong comeback. Also wanted to mention that a book I've reviewed on here called Skies of Fire. It's Ray Chow is one of the writers of it. Skies of Fire. It's coming out in hardback. It's 8 issues, bound into 2 separate volumes in a box set. It'll be coming out on Kickstarter. And the reason I mention it, the art in it is just fantastic. So you might want to take a look at it. Especially, it's coming out in the next couple days. He usually runs a special. So these are kind of expensive books. And the special, if you're interested in the Skies of Fire, you can see some of the reviews I've done before. You'll see that the art in it is well worth the price. It's just really beautiful. Almost, I think it's kind of like a watercolors that he does. And it's in the European style of the album-sized books. So it's not just a regular comic book size. It's like twice as much area on there than a regular comic book. So check that out. Skies of Fire on Kickstarter, coming out, I believe, the 15th. But you can get a notification from them in the meantime to let you know when it does come out, so you can take advantage of any specials on that first day. Okay, so Draculina, I'm really liking the comic. This is a recommend. It is by Christopher Priest. Let's see who worked on this really quick. I already mentioned Christopher's name. Michael St. Marie is the artist. Ivan Nunez is the colorist. Willie Schubert is the letterer. Matt Idelson is the editor, and Colette Turner did cover A. And this has been the same team on all 4. As far as Dynamite goes, their comics tend to be kind of hit and miss. This one's very interesting. I think it's got a lot going on. It's got a very involved plot. It is a little confusing. You get like these nice blurbs about San Francisco and Los Angeles in the column from the little snarky kid here who is Draculina's kind of alter ego. She's from another dimension, but she's stuck in the Draculina's dimension right now. So it's Draculina at an earlier age, but she's not a vampire yet. And there's this mystical candle that when she lights it, Draculina switches places with her. So she tries not to bring her in. Right now, Draculina has an alias of River East. She hangs out in Los Angeles, but she does her hunting for blood in San Francisco. So you can see the art in it's pretty good. I've been enjoying the art. The action's pretty good. The humor in this one wasn't as good as in some of the past issues. And we get a lot of going back and forth on flashbacks here. And you'll see that Christopher Priest does label some of this action. It shows how, I can't even think of her name, what they call her. Is it Caitlin or something? Got sucked into this whole job in the first place, going through a portal into a different dimension. Now she's being held by a couple different people. One of them is kind of like a government spook agent. It checks out kind of strange goings on because after Draculina feeds, this one comes back right now and is in her place. So they always find her at the murder scenes. But they're pretty sure like this 10-year-old girl isn't doing it. But she's pretty well versed in the ways of the world. We get a nice ad for Vampirella Year 1, written by Christopher Priest as well. So that's came out debuting this month. And here we go. Theogony is the name of this issue. And we get the people listed again in the credits. Draculina has caught the little mouse that hangs out. I think it's like Sebastian or something like that. Hangs out with the little girl, and this mouse knows a lot of things. As you can see, she's caught him, and I think she ends up taking it with her on her journeys as she flies away after the little girl had lit the candle. So for some reason, something different happened on this one, where, here we go, here's one of those, what do you want to call it? It's not really a flashback, but just kind of pushing her somewhere else. So we've got the special agent here, we've got Draculina, and then we've got this guy here, this kind of androgynous looking guy, who claims to be her husband. And these people had come and wrecked the train that the little girl was on, and that she had to bail out and light the candle to save her life. So whenever she's in the midst of almost dying, she lights that candle, and that's Draculina comes back as from wherever she is hanging out. It's kind of like this weird limbo area. So it's pretty good action throughout. In this particular issue, Draculina actually loses her powers, so she's just kind of like a normal human. She can no longer fly. But her alter ego suddenly is in the Draculina outfit, and she can fly now, and she also wants to feed, so that's kind of changed up a little bit. An ad for Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids. So this has been kind of a fun issue in that aspect, as they've kind of switched their powers. Not that the little girl had any powers besides the magical candle, but you can see here's the agent all tied up as they try to figure out what's going on. So there's some just kind of mystical stuff going on as Draculina is being chased by these strange creatures. She dives into some kind of water off a cliff somewhere, and that husband guy shows up and rips her clothes off, and they look at each other for a moment and end up embracing. I'll get you the whole picture there. So you can see the art is pretty nice, pretty sexy. Meanwhile, I can't think of her name, I'm drawing a blank, but she has gone back to her foster home where she was being kept. She wants to kill off the foster father because she believes him to be evil. But this is an alternate dimension, so he's actually not evil. And she actually meets her alternate self in this new dimension. So it's kind of this wacky thing. Next is Mirrored, the unification theory. So it's a little bit hard to complex story as far as things are jumping around a bit. You got a little bit of flashbacks and a little bit of interdimensional travel, but I have been enjoying it. I'm going to stick with it for now. Okay, then we get the Dynamite Dispatch here. We're going to get to the cover galleries in a moment here. The Army of Darkness, we've looked at this, versus Army of Darkness versus Reanimator. Bruce Campbell in there. Savage Tales, 40 action pages. The Boys, Dear Becky. It's the return of Becky Nix. And let's go ahead and take a look at the covers, alternate covers here. So cover A, I guess I don't have cover A. Cover D for some reason, but that's what they gave me. So I did not get cover A this time. I got cover D. It's in my pull box. So obviously I did not get cover A. Maybe they gave it to someone that was willing to pay a lot more. I don't know. But I do not have the complete set. No pun intended. Let's get in here a little bit. Cover A was really busting out all over. They don't have her as stark blonde, though, as she is usually portrayed in the inner pages here. Okay. And a few more to look at. Here's a black and white. These are kind of exclusive to certain stores or events. And finally, these three down here. Okay, so there you pretty much have it. Recommend Draculina by Christopher Priest. As always, thank you for stopping by and watching this review of Draculina number 4. As always, please like, please subscribe. I'm over 300 subscribers now, 302 in fact, so I don't know what happened. All of a sudden they jumped up. And please leave comments if you wish. As always, this is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.